Rental properties can be a really powerful investment if they're going to help supplement your income in retirement. Now, what I'll often see is people who go, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to have this property." And then I'll also hear, "I can't wait to be done with this property." And I'll say, "What do you mean? You're so excited to get that property?" And they go, "Yeah, I mean, I'm traveling and I know I have a property and there's income that flows from that. But to be honest, I'm always worrying, is the roof going to leak? Am I going to have to fix that thing?" And so, although I'm now retired, I'm traveling, still worrying. So I asked myself, is it worth the hassle? And that's a phrase we talk about here at Root, ROH, not ROI, which traditionally is return on investment, but ROH, return on hassle. Is it worth the hassle? And so what we're talking about in our new series, Root Drops, is a little tidbit of knowledge every episode. You're about to hear from my amazing advisor, JJ, who's going to give insight on investment properties and how to think through this. When do they make sense? And what are the pros and cons? All that fun stuff. Now, how do we come up with what we discuss in this Root Drop series? We go off of what you guys say. In our free community, the Root Collective, you can actually drop a comment, hear from other people, get insight. And then, of course, I personally am reviewing that as well. So check this out on my screen right now. This comes from someone named Surafel Abebe, who says investment properties, house flipping. Does anyone have experience with investment properties? I'd love to hear your thoughts or advice for someone looking to get started. So I'm going to pass it over to JJ, one of our amazing lead advisors here at Root Financial, to give us some more insight.
Thanks, Ari. Appreciate it. I really like seeing that post asking about investment properties because I specialize in investment real estate and have analyzed thousands of rental properties for clients holistically as part of their financial plans. So I wanted to share my approach and how I think about that. I always say this, Ari, you know me, you know I'm an optimist, but you know that I'm always thinking about risks. So I have some risks to talk about here with rental properties. It seems that there's so much stuff out there on social media that makes it sound like investment properties are just easy, like a guaranteed way to build wealth, increase income, passive income. You hear that all the time. I think that's a fantasy because investment properties are just that. They're an investment. It's hard to find a really good one, and there's risk. Rentals can do well if everything falls into place like you expect, but there's always the risk of loss and maybe a big loss. I've seen a ton of situations where a rental turns into a pain that doesn't make much money, or worse, something that's losing money every month and you can't get out of it unless you take a big loss and lose even more money. That's not the goal here. So first, I ask people to think about their life instead of the dollars and cents. That's what we care about here at Root, is how are you living your life and is it the life you want? So rental property is a business and you're in charge of operating that business. So I tell people to ask themselves, in your life now, do you want to start and run a business? There's no wrong answer. It's fine. It depends on your own goals. Some people have the time, the energy, the desire to run a business. Others don't, especially if they're thinking about retiring. For a lot of people, getting a new job in retirement is kind of the opposite of retirement. So that's always important to think about. Now, how about some practical risks? There are a ton of them. And where I've seen people run into trouble, it's usually because one or more of these risks haven't been accounted for properly ahead of time. I'll start with the big one, and that's maintenance, repairs, CapEx. If you look at the government data, US government data, it shows an average annual maintenance repair cost of 1.5% of the home value. That's a big number. It could be more or less. It varies widely depending on the age of the home, the quality of the materials, cost of labor, cost of commodities, lots of other factors. But it doesn't matter because if that isn't properly budgeted for, property might just feel great, cash flowing really nicely until one day you get whacked with huge repair costs all at once, a bunch of stuff breaks, and you end up in the red for years or even forever, which you don't want. So that's one reason that I can consider cash flow neutral properties where they're barely, breaking even or a little bit above. I consider those high risk because it might look good until just one day it doesn't. I could talk for like an hour here. This is hard, but I'll give you another lightning round of some others. Rising tax and insurance costs. That's a big one too. Certain parts of the country, those have crept up or spiked up badly, and that eats up your margins. Not great. Legal risk is something to think about too. Some state laws very strongly favor tenants over landlords, and that can turn into a nightmare potentially. Lost rents, attorney costs, court costs, plenty of other costs, and that's not even counting the cost in hassle and time. Those can be, even if you end up breaking even or getting money back at the end of the day, that's not a good return on hassle generally. Another one is oversupply. A lot of areas have tons and tons of rentals, both short term and long term, because this is a popular topic. It's all over social media. Just basic supply and demand. If there's too much supply, vacancies can go up, rents can drop. And if rents drop too much and owners find themselves underwater on their rental and is losing money every month, they might start selling, which can also lead to a drop in prices. So again, that's kind of the worst case when you have a drop in rents and you're underwater. It costs you money every month just to operate the property, and you can't sell unless you take a big loss. That's not great. Depreciation recapture on the tax side, that can be a nasty surprise for some people. It feels good to get the write-off while you're depreciating over time. Just make sure you understand what it might cost you down the line. That can be a surprise. So I always recommend clients run those numbers by a tax pro. Again, I could talk forever on this. That's a drop in the bucket. There are so many other risks to think about. And it doesn't mean that rentals are bad. They can be good. You just need to make sure that you're managing your risk just like any other investment. Hope that helps.
Guys, I hope you just really heard that, because what JJ is not saying is don't use them or use them. He's saying make sure they make sense for you. I love that he touched on the word passive. What is passive? When I hear passive, that means don't do anything. If I'm having to worry about, is the tenant still paying and my property manager just quit and I'm traveling and the roof's leaking, that's not really passive, because yes, it's taking up your headspace, but more than that, you're actually having to spend time and energy, and actually you're wondering about, what am I actually taking home? I mean, I know I'm getting my little monthly distributions, but after I have to fix the washing machine and then it turns out the pool needs to be resurfaced, now all of a sudden it's really hard to know, what are you actually taking home? So the beautiful thing about the stock market is it's truly passive. You don't have to attend a board meeting. You don't have to ever tune in and go, oh my gosh, I have to go to work for Amazon. No, you just get to passively own it. Now, does that come with understanding how volatility works? Of course. But what we at Root do is we don't marry any of these things. We want you to reach your goals. If it's a great investment property that helps you do that, beautiful. If it's having a diversified mix and you still want real estate exposure and we want to get a REIT, a real estate investment trust, maybe that makes sense. It totally depends. What I want to make sure that if you're looking at rental properties and wondering, how does that incorporate into your financial strategy in a true holistic manner, that you're working with someone who specializes in this, and that is JJ. So if you go to our website, rootfinancial.com, what you'll be able to see under JJ's page is that not only is he the most experienced advisor working at Root, he's in Denver, awesome guy, raised by a financial advisor. If you're going, wow, this sounds like someone who's not just really intelligent, but someone who I think I'd resonate having conversations with. I can tell there's a deep understanding. On our website, rootfinancial.com, in the upper right, you'll see a button. And that button says, click here to see if you're a fit. If you click on that button and fill out a few questions, you can begin working with JJ and starting to optimize your retirement. That's it for this video. Guys, if this was helpful, please like this video. Please comment if there's something you learned. That could be that return on hassle. That can be that, okay, what does passive really mean? Or depreciation recapture. I always love depreciating, but I didn't know there was like a recapture part. Maybe it's just the fact that you went, wow, this is something that I was thinking about. And now after hearing it, maybe it's something that I just shouldn't worry about anymore. Finally, it's way more fun to retire with your friends. So please do share this with someone you want to retire with. So when you retire, you both can talk about how it's awesome traveling with your rental properties, knowing they're doing what they need to do, or that you've sold them and now you just don't have to worry about it because it's something that's still providing income, but it's just from a different aspect of your portfolio. Maybe it's a real estate investment trust. Maybe it's diversifying even further. That's a deeper conversation that we want to have with you. So no matter what is happening in retirement, you have the income you need to maximize what you've worked so hard for. That's it for this video. See you guys next time.